Okay, so let's create one class, new class, say test cloning. Let's put package, let's put in basics. Okay, so here in this class, let's make it, let's make this class, or let's create one class, say employee here, class employee, okay, which has salary, which has id, and which has string name. Okay, so and let's put its getter setter. Employee is already there, so let's create and then employee one. Okay, so let's create the object of this method, sorry, this class. Let's try to override the toString, so that what I want to return, I want to return id plus name and salary. Simple object. Okay, and it's toString method. Let's create one main method and create the object of employee 1. Employee 1 is equal to new employee 1. Okay, let's print the values first. Employees 1. Okay, it should just print 0, null, and 0. 0 and 0, it is coming because its default value is 0. Let's try to create one constructor so that I can pass the id, name, and salary. Okay, let's create one constructor. Okay, let's put the logic of that constructor, saying that this dot, this is id, this is salary, okay, and this is name. So this dot id is equal to parameter value, that is id. So this dot name equal to name, and this dot salary is equal to salary. Perfect. Now if you run this program, you will get the value 1, Shiv, and salary. Let's try to create the clone object of that. So if I say employee 2 is equal to employee 1 dot clone. You cannot call, right? So let's override, let's override clone method and say get super dot clone, and the return is employee 1. Okay, now let's try to call the clone method. Employee 1 dot clone. Okay, because as part of exception handling, this is the clone not supported, that is checked exception. Okay, because I'm throwing it here, I have to catch it. So I will do one thing. So when I say employee dot clone, I have to give that type of employee 1. Okay, then I need to throw the exception or catch the exception. Here I will throw the exception. Now let's try to see the result. Here I have overridden the clone method. Okay, and then I'm calling the clone method here, but still it is giving clone not supported exception. That's what I said. Even you have clone method from the object class, and you can override it, but you cannot use it. Okay, so JVM understand when you're trying to clone it, you have to use the clonable. You have to implement the clonable interface. Okay, so let's implement the clonable interface. Any class which I want to be clone, it should implement implement. It should implement clonable interface. That is clonable interface. So if I do it, I should not get any runtime problem. So let's try to print the clone object, employee 2. Okay, because it is cloned, and before doing the cloning, I have created this object with these values, then I did the cloning. So the clone object should carry those fields, the copy of those fields. Here if you see, I can cloned object is having also value as 1, Shiv and 1000. Okay, so now let's try to, this is the called solo cloning by default. Let's try to see the problem. What is problem with solo cloning? So as been said, there are two type of cloning: deep cloning and solo cloning. By default is solo cloning. Right now there is, right now you are not seeing any problem because you are using primitive type data type. Here ID and salary is primitive data type. Okay, one member class which I have used here is string. And when you use when you use a class as a member, it generally pass, when you clone it, it pass the reference. When it pass the reference, it basically reference, it will pass the reference. So any change in a string in the original object can impact the uh, cloned object. So let's try to see the, I am changing this employee 1. I'm setting the name, I'm setting ID set 2. Okay, and this one I am doing after employee 1 is cloned. Then I am changing the value of employee 1 and see if there is any impact on employee 2. Let's print it again, employee 2. Okay, so before cloning I'm printing that is employee 1 is 1 Shiv and 100,000. After cloning I am printing employee 2 that is 1 Shiv and 1,000. That is also correct. Let me put after setting id to what is the value of employee 1. So it should be 2 Shiv and 100. But the cloned object that is still 1 Shiv and 1,000. Sorry, I have I have used 100. I should use 1,000. This is 1,000. Okay. So why it is not giving the problem? Because a string class, if I see the string class here, that is also clonable. So this member class should be either clonable or you have to while creating while creating the detail of your clone method, you have to create a new member class and then associate with that. That way you can achieve the decloning. So here we are not able to see the actual problem with cloning. I will show you how to see the how we can see the problem with solo cloning. Okay. Okay, so let's have one field called department. Okay, let's create one class department. Okay, it has its id and it has its name and its, let's not include complex things, not about complex, let's try to give the minimum things. So I'm using only name of the department. Let's create one setter getter for this. Okay, now my object is, let's try to create the setter getter for department in employee. Source, generate setter getter. Okay, now let's pass the department dpt name. That is, I'm passing the department. So we will say this dot department is equal to name. Okay, let's put department name. So it will be fine. I'm using department name. So let's try to change the constructor call. So I'm giving new department, that is, say, sales. There is no constructor. Let's create the constructor. Okay. In this constructor, let's write it. This dot name is equal to name. So let's change the parameter, that is name. Fine. Now let's print it. While printing also I should keep the name of the department. So I'm giving department name is plus dpt dot name. Okay. Let's try to run it first. Let's remove. So here I am printing employee 1, and after cloning I will print employee 2. Okay, so far it's fine. Now let's try to change the department of employee 1. Say set department is equal to new department, say marketing. Okay, then let's print the detail of employee 1, and then let's print employee of detail of employee. Okay, so here is something. If I see, let's try to remove first two statements. Okay, now let's try to print it again. So here you see the department of employee 1 has been changed, but the cloned object is still showing the original one. This is what something we achieved. This is something we are needed. Change in the object of the first detail of the first should not impact the object of second, but this is the something wrong way. Okay, I have not done the fully correct way of doing the solo clone problem to solve the problem of solo cloning. What is the mistake happened here? Here both sides, when I'm creating the object of the department, when you're trying to, when after cloning I'm doing the new reference, that is new department. Okay, so it will not impact because this is a new copy. Okay, so and while cloning I'm still using the old reference. Okay, so this will not have the problem. So what we need to do to solve the problem here is we need to create the object of department first. Okay, then let's put it first cells, then use this variable to set while creating the first employee. Okay, now we change the department name to marketing after cloning. Okay, so after cloning you are changing the value of the name of department. Okay, now because this department is associated with employee. Okay, employee 1, fine, and employee 2 is cloned. So because it is cloned and it is using the same reference, now employee 2 also will show marketing's department. Okay, so here changing in, so let's see, here after doing the cloning I modified the department name to marketing. Okay, so both objects has been changed, original has been changed and duplicate also has been changed. Now if I do similar things for, if I do something like, employee 2 dot department. Here I am changing department dot set name, set technology. Now I am setting this department to employee 2. Now if I print employee 1 and employee 2, let's comment it earlier one. See, both have been changed, right? So here all those things I'm passing the same reference. So if you are passing the same reference, your cloned object will be impacted, or original object also be impacted, because they are sharing the same reference. So member, in case of cloning member class, if you are using any attribute of, if you are using any member class attribute, then the cloned object will carry the same reference. Okay, so how to avoid this kind of scenarios? When we, to avoid this kind of scenario, what we need to do, department also I need to implement this clonable, and here I need to write clone. Okay, once I do the cloning of that, now I should be